Welcome everyone, Mr. Pasco here, video lesson number 12, percent of a number. This is a continuation of video lesson number 11. Today's question says, how is finding the percent of a number similar to finding equivalent ratios? Let's go ahead and get started. Example number 1, 8 is what percent? We need to find the percent of 20. So it looks like 8 is the part, 20 is the whole. We need to find out what percent 8 is of 20. So let's go ahead and visualize it using a double number line first. Two quantities set equal to each other. I'm comparing a number to its percent. There we go. I know that 0% of any number is 0. In this case, because 20 is the whole, 100% of this number is 20. I need to figure out what percent 8 is. Now, there's a number of ways that we can divide 20 to break it down in order to build it back up. One way that I see is if I do 20 divided by, let's say, 5, that will give us 4. And then whatever I do to the top, I have to do to the bottom. 100 divided by 5, that will give us 20. So we know that 20% of this number is 4. Now what we can do is, I see a relationship between 4 and 8. If I multiply that by 2, that gets me to 8. In order to keep my ratios equivalent, 20 times 2 is 40. So our answer is 8 is 40% of 20. Some of you may have seen that you could have divided by a different number. Some of you could have seen that if you divide by 10, you'll get that the number is 2, and that's 10%. And then you can build that back up. But in this case, all I did was I simply divided by 5 and then multiplied it by 2 to build it back up. Let's go ahead and use two fractions set equal to each other. We know that percent over 100 is equal to the part all over the whole. Now, we don't know the percent, but we do know that the denominator of the percent is 100. We do know the part, and that's 8. And we do know the whole, which is 20. That's 100%. Recognize how they're consistent. 100's the whole, 20's the whole. 8 is the part, percent is the part. So just recognize that relationship. Now, I'm going to go from right to left here. I see that 20 times 5 is 100. In order to make it so that we have equal fractions and equivalent ratios, 8 times 5 is 40. So there it is. 40 all over 100 is equal to 8 over 20. So our answer says 8 is 40% of 20. I would like to show you one more way here of finding the percent. And in order to do that, we're going to divide 8 by 20 here. So let's go ahead and do 8 divided by 20. When I end up getting that, 20 does not go into 8. So what we're going to have to do is add a decimal and a 0. 20 does go into 80 4 times, which gives us an even 80. So when I subtract, I'm left with no remainder. So take a look at 0.4. That's just a decimal. Because that's a decimal, we can convert this decimal of 0.4 to 40%. So that's another way we can go about getting our answer of 40%. This may be useful for example number 2. There are 23 players on the Queensberry Girls varsity soccer team, and 13 of them are seniors. What percentage of players on the team are seniors? Round your answer to the nearest tenth of a percent. So we need to figure out percentage. Let's go ahead and set up our problem using the two fractions set equal to. So we have percent over 100 is equal to part all over whole. We don't know the percent. We need to find the percentage. right? So we do know the part and we do know the whole, that 13 of the girls are seniors out of the entire 23. Now, we're kind of in a problem here. If we were to go back up to example number 2, let me just kind of group things together here. When we were to go up to example number 2, we were able to find a relationship between our numbers 8 times 5, 20 times 5. But in this case, I can't find a relationship of 23 and 100. Okay, I can't find a factor of 23 that will help me out with 100. So our final way that we can do this, that I showed you using division, will help us out big time. If I just divide 13 by 23, that will give us a decimal. When we get the decimal, we can turn that decimal to a percent. So let's go ahead and do that. The quotient of 13 divided by 23, I end up getting a decimal of 0.5652, meaning that continues. But I ended up going to the 10,000th place value because we know that you can change this decimal to a percent by moving it over 2 places to the right. That becomes 56.52%. That's not rounded to the nearest tenth like it asks us to. 56.52% when rounded to the nearest tenth becomes 56.5%. So as an answer, we can say that 56.5% of all the players on the team are seniors. That does it for video lesson number 12. That's just one of many ways for us to find a percent in this case, to find the percent when we are given a part and a whole. We know that a fraction bar represents division, which is exactly what we did. So if we were to ever wanting to find the percent, you could use one of the 3 ways up top, or you could just simply divide, in this case, the numerator 13 divided by the denominator 23 to get a decimal. Convert that decimal to a percent to get our answer. Have a great day, everyone. Thanks for watching.